All right, welcome back, Hardforkers, and welcome back, Lisa. Good to see you
Hi,
again.
everyone. How are we going today?
Yeah, so I know you're. How are you going? You're in a new house as of a few days ago.
I am. I'm in a new house and it's nice. It's not LA, but it's still Melbourne. But,
Yep,
that's coronavirus sort of days. And yeah, we do what we can.
excellent. So, listen, people, what we're going to be doing is a Monday weekly trading show with Lisa. Obviously, I
Yeah.
think the first thing to mention there is obviously trading is a very much a daily thing, depending on how you go about trading. So I guess
hmm
that's Lisa probably the way for us to sort of frame up the fact that we're doing a weekly show. Obviously, I'm very much coming from the fundamental aspect. You're coming from the technical analysis point of view. So I guess the way to kick things off is if you could tell people about the types of trading that you do, and where people can reach you if they want to follow you on a more frequent basis than just on this Monday show.
So I do, so I have a portfolio that I split in, certain different trades. So I have 25% BTC, which is spread over 3 trades. I have 25% ETH, which is spread over 2 trades, and 25% BSV, which is also spread over 2 trades. And then I have some alts, which sort of fills up that last 25%. So normally sort of 5 alts I'll be trading, sometimes more depending on sort of what's moving and what's not.
Yep.
And, how that's done is like BTC, I will have a longer term trade. I will have sort of a day to week trade depending on the movement, and then I'll have some scalp trades. So that's kind of how I play with those.
Okay.
With ETH and BSV, I have a longer term movement trade, and I have a sort of a weekly sort of supports and resistance areas trades. So yeah, that's kind of what I do with the alts. They're all just support to target trades,
Right.
and you'll see those on Twitter. So I update all of these daily on Twitter, which is Lisa N Edwards. And at the start of the week, Monday today, I put up all the trades that I'm looking at, that I'm entering, and that I'm in. So yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, the links below for that. You can follow Lisa on the daily there. So as I say, in this show here, once a week, we'll look at some charts. We'll get into that now, but also maybe talk more high level about what's happening in the space as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep most of the audience happy. They want to see some charts, Lisa, and get a bit of an insight into to what's going on right now.
No problems. All right, let's bring up. Okay, so let's share some screens and some charts. Sharing away. All right, so this is my BTC chart that I'm trading right now. So this is kind of my daily, and at the moment I'm scalping because there's no real confirmed direction, and it's a bit risky.
Can you tell us what scalping is?
So scalping is like basically these tiny small moves.
Right.
So at the moment, we can see that we've bounced here. We've got a cross support here. So I had an order around this area, and so it's currently in profit. At the moment with a scalp, I'm extra cautious with how that moves, because obviously the market can move against you very quickly.
Yep.
So with the scalp, as soon as it moves a little bit, it's kind of moved into a neutral stop position, so there's no loss. So you can kind of guarantee on a cross support we're going to get a bounce. We don't know if that's going to be a long-term bounce or a short-term bounce at this point in time. So so that's why it's a very risky trade, and that's why I'm hyper vigilant with how I put the stops and that sort of thing to protect profits and protect capital. So because obviously when you're trading, you want to be able to make money and not lose money. So with a scalp, you need to really sort of manage where the trade is and be available to look at it all the time. So if you don't have a lot of time, it's not the way to do that. So if you don't have a lot of time, you would be sitting out here at the moment until we have a confirmed direction. So it's okay to sit on the sidelines and just to wait.
So this sort of level of trading, when you're talking about scalping, that's this is really effectively a full-time job when you're trading like that, isn't it?
Yeah. When you're trading like that, it's very much so a full-time job. And, most of the time I'm in low-level margin trades on these. So I'll be in a 10% margin trade. I don't normally go more than sort of 20% on a margin trade. Mm-hmm. So it gets really risky and dangerous if you're sort of looking at a trade and you're putting in 100% on that trade, and all of a sudden the market turns against you and you've got no money left. So it just wipes out your capital. So that goes to the other thing, that you never want to trade with more money than you're prepared to lose, especially in when you're doing margin trades. So, right. and you don't know what you're doing. So margin trades, when you don't know what you're doing, is effectively just going into like a casino and playing roulette and going, okay, I'm going to go red or I'm going to go black. And, that's what short or long is. So right. We're not trying to promote that. We're trying to promote that, you can make a little bit of money knowing where supports and resistances are, and, be really careful with how you manage your money. And ultimately, trading is all about money management.
Very true. I heard Willie Woo talking recently on this topic, where, he actually made the comment that he felt, the higher leveraged trading, in his opinion, was bad for BTC adoption. I guess what I meant by that is, a lot of inexperienced people might go in there and over leverage and get burnt and walk away. But at the end of the day,
I think that's the same with anything. At the end of the day, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have troubles with anything. So if Correct. You go out and you start, rollerblading, and you don't know how to rollerblade, you're going to skin your knees.
Yeah.
So, learn how to rollerblade, and you'll be good at it. Learn how to trade, and you'll make some money. So, you can say that about anything.
Yeah, true. I mean, in some ways, it was a strange comment because I think Bitcoin is many things to different people. There's hodlers out there. One of the guys in my team is just a hodler. I've got other friends who really see it as that, anti-establishment sort of play. New financial system. It's not something they trade, but at the end of the day, I think for the bulk of people, it is a new asset class that's there to be traded. And, whether that trade is once a year, twice a year, or every day, it's still
exactly. There's a saying that I really like, and I say it to a lot of people on Twitter, and it's like, don't complain about the game, learn to play it.
Correct.
So so you can sit there and you can complain about trading all you want, but if you don't know how to play it or you don't know how to do it, there's no point. So work out what the indicators do, work out what the charts do, and then work out how to make money. And there's a lot of money there to be made because crypto is such a volatile asset. Like not just BTC, all crypto. So, it moves sort of sometimes 10 to 20% in a day without even leverage. So, there's lots of money there while it's unregulated to be made.
So up to you people, but taking 50 grand and going 100x. You probably can move the market around, and you might get lucky and be mega rich in a couple of hours, or you'll lose a lot. So.
No, that's not what I advocate. So it's like when you're trading, never use more than what you're prepared to lose.
Yeah.
And never 100 times leverage. So that to me is called the full retard. Yeah. So there's a clip from Tropic Thunder, where Robert Downey Jr. is talking.
My favorite film.
Oh, I love this part. And he's talking about, if you how Sean Penn was an actor and he did I Am Sam, and you know, all of these other actors did all these movies, but they never went the full retard, so they got all these accolades and awards and all of this sort of stuff. And then Sean Penn comes along and he went full retard, and I Am Sam, he you know, went home empty-handed. So, and that's kind of what it is in trading. So if anyone hears me say that you're the full retard, it's because they've done, you know, a massively big margin trade, and they've lost all their money. And it's just ridiculously stupid, because it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in the space for a number of, how many years now? I mean, you're a seasoned veteran, aren't you, really, when it comes to
too long. You're making me feel old. This is like,
well, the industry is only 10 years old, so
yeah.
But and I think you've been there from the get-go. So you know,
pretty much. I think I've been trading crypto since it was kind of tradable, which was about 2012, 2013.
Right.
So, you know, and there was a couple of exchanges that popped up in Australia, and then there was, you know, obviously the one where everyone lost money. But yeah.
So let's come back to this chart, Lisa. Where do you think, what are the scenarios for Bitcoin in your opinion?
We don't have a lot of volume right now, so it's, you know, it's not looking good, even though we're on a cross support here. So ideally, what I'd like to see is this D. So if this is a Elliott wave triangle forming at the moment, then we've kind of got this D wave coming up. We could have one more bounce down and, you know, kind of see this sort of region. And, you know, this could go sort of here down to this and then up to the D. So I do think we're going to retry to, you know, hit this resistance region again. So this red line goes back to the start of the, you know, where we hit 20,000 at the all-time high. So it's kind of come down the whole way. So if I zoom out here and we go to a daily chart, we can kind of see where this resistance, it sort of crosses through everything, all the points along the way. So we've down here, and we're at that point again where possibly we could break through. If we can break through this red resistance line, then we're going to see, you know, potentially another 20,000 run again. So, which is not, you know, I know a lot of people out on Twitter and, you know, especially the BSV crew are like, BTC is going to die, it's going to do this. And I don't see it at the moment. And it's like, I know you're all going to hate on me. I know you're all going to say all these things like, Lisa, you're wrong. That's okay. I'm okay if I'm wrong. But
people on Twitter hating on you? What are you talking about? They never
especially the BSV guys, when I say BTC is going up. It's like, yeah. So if we can break this resistance region, we've got a really good opportunity of going up. And my view on this at the moment is we really need to, in the next, probably within the next month, I think we're going to see this sideways pattern for a little bit more. Because we're gathering momentum within this area, and you know, this is what I call a liquidity area. So it's where the whales sort of go up and down and they take the stops out when people are thinking we should be going short, and then they go long. And you know, that's what triangles do. They sort of break all the, you know, the short-term traders and, you know, the ones that don't know what they're doing, and the stops sort of come in and out, and that's where you kind of lose a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. So if we can break this region and get over here and sort of get to about the 10,200 mark, and then come down and retest and hold the resistance region as support, we have this really good opportunity to move up and show basically the world what crypto's made of. So, you know, the other markets are going to start sort of declining again. I think once we get the second wave of the corona, because we're all coming out of sort of, you know, the easing restrictions around the world, which is, you always get a second wave. So once we get that sort of second wave happening and the markets start melting down again, traditional markets that is, I think crypto can then show the world what they're made of, and we're going to get another 20,000 run. And I think, this is what is going to drive long-term adoption. I know some people don't want to hear that, but I think if you can showcase something, you can then potentially, make people understand more and make them want to know more about what the actual product is.
Right. I agree. So look, on that note, I'll get you to go through the chart a bit more, but yeah, I just sort of echoing your thoughts there. For me, this is it. This is the big chance for crypto over the next year. And when I say crypto, I suppose I have to sort of separate Bitcoin from a lot of these other projects, which I really see more as, infrastructure, not necessarily currencies. I think a lot of people get confused there. Bitcoin specifically, I think is it has that opportunity now to decouple from the traditional markets. It really is just still tracking them, in my opinion. Well, not in my opinion, you can clearly see that. But I think it's blatantly obvious that at some point, the S&P, the NASDAQ, etc., are going to head south. That simply just has to happen. It does, will crypto follow it down? That's a big question. I think a lot of people seem to think so. My personal opinion is it will. But at that point, that's where I would really love to see this decouple, and for it to be an asset that is separate from those traditional markets. And, really there, I hate using that phrase, but that's when we could be off to the moon. It's also extremely self-centered as well, Lisa, because I desperately want a chance to buy up at a lower price.
I hear this on a daily sort of basis on Twitter. It's like, I want to buy at this price, and it's like,
can we make it go lower one more time, please?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like we can all want that, but it's like whether it happens or not is a different thing. And it's like, I want to go overseas on a holiday, but whether that can happen now or not is a different thing as well. So it's like we don't always get what we want.
No. On that note, I mean, you've talked about what, the resistance level there, and, that what is that? That's around that 9.5 figure. And if we find support there, we can bounce a lot higher. Let's have a look at the dark scenario. What would hit us south?
All right. So if we were to continue to break that region and not show, not break through it, let's bring up this chart. If it wants to move, it's not going to want to move at the moment. Why aren't you moving, chart? Okay, so we've got on this chart, my resistance region is in the aqua blue color. So this is a Binance chart.
Yep.
And we can see that we've got this support region here that we're trading up on. So that's been holding the whole way since down here. So if we can't break this resistance region here for any reason, we could potentially come right down and retest. So we do have, if we go to the long-term chart, so I'll load a new chart, which is here
we go.
All right, now it should start putting some lines. Yay! There we go. Okay, so this chart, all right, finally, we've got this is the liquid index. So this is the chart that goes from BTC from the beginning of time. And so basically we're here, we're at this aqua blue resistance. And if we don't pass that, I believe we're going down to this white support. So this white support goes all the way back to basically January 2016. So 4 years this support has held. and it is, you know, it keeps moving across. So as we go, it gets slightly higher. At the moment, it's 5,200 and about sort of 50-ish. So potentially, if we can't cross this aqua blue line, which is the red line on my other chart that I trade daily, we're going down to that 5,200 mark. So, and that's the sort of the reality of the, you know, the other way that we could go.
Right.
And I think a lot of people on crypto Twitter, that's what they want. So, you know, if that's what people want, I don't think we're getting it.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously we've just had the halving. I was really
Do you call
flooded
it a halving
with.
or is it a halvening?
I think you're allowed to use either term.
I think if you're a true crypto person, it's a halvening.
Well, I'll go with halvening then. It's a complete I guess they're both made up words.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to go with. Basically, we you know, it certainly created a lot of interest in the space. You know, I really got inundated with you know, a whole fresh crop of people that, you know, wanted to have a piece of the action. You know, that was fantastic that it sort of, you know, got a wee bit of publicity again. I think, you know, I made a couple of videos that are there. In fact, my last two, if you're not really up on the play of what has happened, please go and watch those. But in short, the mining reward has halved. So, you know, when we talk about a price heading back down to 5,000, that would actually be below the cost of producing Bitcoin for those miners.
Like, you know, when I say potentially we could go back to 5,000, when we hit that sort of 3,800 mark, we were straight back up to 5,000 within an hour. So, you know, while there's potential for it to drop to that point, it's not going to hang around there very long. So, you know, it's basically going to be the people that panic sell, the people that have really low stop losses, that sort of thing, that, you know, and it's going to be that sort of domino effect where it just sort of goes through the stops on, you know, exchanges like BitMEX and those sort of high leverage exchanges where it just takes out all the stops and it keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and it'd be great to hear your thoughts on this. I'm sure they're similar to mine. I think it's a fascinating year for BTC coming up. You know, where we're now in a scenario where the exchanges effectively have more Bitcoin to move to sell into the market than the miners did. That all changed a week ago. So how that will affect things moving forward is going to be very interesting. And it really becomes a scenario for BTC that for it to become a viable business for the miners, the price has to go up. I mean, the fees simply aren't there. You know, so is that going to happen? You know, we're seeing obviously people like Paul. Exactly, it's a huge question.
Yeah,
so I think
this is the big question. It's like, it's
going to be decided really in the next 18 months, 2 years.
It is, and it's like whether it's a long-term asset and, you know, it's going to hold its value, or it's going to keep this volatile sort of value that we see right now. You know, remains to be seen as to where we go. So this is a really critical point that we're at, as to whether, you know, it breaks through or it continues lower. I kind of think exchanges, whales, miners really need to hold this level and, you know, to break it through, because like you're saying, it is at that critical point, and if it goes down to a point that it's not viable to mine, then that's when these miners start abandoning and, you know, their businesses suffer. So, you know, for the long-term sort of BTC sort of outlook, we need to hold this level. So it really very much is a key level that could make or break BTC right now.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there's a huge amount of positives out there. You have the likes of Raoul Pal, Dan Tapiro, Paul Tudor Jones
Yeah.
has obviously come to the party recently. There's a huge amount of interest, from the hedge funds. I believe, that they clearly see it as an anti-inflationary asset. This is why, my feeling is if we do see traditional markets go off a cliff, and I strongly feel they will,
Mm-hmm.
at that point, do we really see the use case of an anti-inflationary asset picked up by the hedge funds, the big players
Yeah.
coming in? I think there's a good chance that could happen. I also think there's, you need to understand, if you're going to play the trading game, follow Lisa. It's not something to dip your toe in now and again. You really need to understand it, because there is a handful of big players in there at the moment, and they can move the market around. You need to I know you know who all those players are.
Yeah, well, you need to understand as well. So exchanges, they borrow from Tether. So they borrow from Tether and then they pay it back, selling at a higher sort of rate. So we might break through this region and, they take a Tether loan and, $1 billion worth of Tether or something like that is printed. And then a day later, $1,100,000 worth of Tether is repaid. So, and the exchanges then have profit as well in BTC. So, there's all these sort of scenarios that you need to watch out for as well, because it is such a tiny market in comparison to the traditional markets.
Yeah.
And it's, that's why it's so easy to move and so easy to, and it is so volatile. So, while it's unregulated, this is not illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to be aware, of everything that's going on in the market. So to trade it successfully.
Okay. There we go. I'm back.
I'm back.
Yeah, I mean, so interesting scenarios. It's, as I say, from my point of view, I'm hoping to pick up some BTC at a much cheaper price. But, it's often that I hear it a million times. If, everyone's thinking something, the opposite's likely to happen. And I know so many people are picking that we are potentially going down to that lower price. So, I'm not going to be surprised if BTC really does take off.
Well, I really think if we can hold these key levels at the moment, then we're going to break that, that sort of diagonal resistance that we've got from the start of the all-time high right down to now. Mm-hmm. And, that's going to really sort of show the world what we're made of and put crypto on the map.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I've got a show. It'll be out in the next 48 hours. Talking with one of the founding fathers of blockchain. He's got some very interesting thoughts on the market. He also runs an investment fund for blockchain companies. So from my point of view, I'll be doing a weekly show, really looking at what problems blockchain is actually solving out in the in the financial markets and in the markets in general. I think we're going through a major upheaval, and how the entire economy is going to function in the next couple of years. I think
blockchain is not necessarily the asset that we trade. So you can have blockchain without having Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, my thinking's completely changed there. I came into the space roughly 5 years ago, and I was very much a Bitcoin maximalist, and you have it drilled into you that blockchain is this tiny part of what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin. And so many of my friends in the banking world at the time just thought I was a complete idiot. They're like, no, of course you can have blockchain without Bitcoin, and that is the case. I mean, yes, there's 5,000 odd projects out there. Okay, most of them are a laughing stock, but there are some real gems there too.
There is. But this is where my car analogy sort of fits into it. So we can have, you can choose any car that you want. So you might want to drive a Lambo, might want to drive a Prius, you might want to drive just, I drive a Mini. So, whatever car you choose, that still drives on the same road. So, and those cars can be parked in the garage and they don't need to be on the road. So, if we think of the roads as the blockchain and, you've got all these different cars that you can choose from.
Yep.
So, and at any given time, they don't need to be on the roads. And so you've got, that's, and it goes for the maximalists too. So, BTC for me is a Lambo. It looks ugly. It doesn't do much. And then you've got your other cars that are more functional and do sort of stuff. And, they're all the other coins and tokens. And you've got some cars that are completely useless. And, say you've got the Russian Lada, which absolutely is a horrible car and it falls to pieces. So that could be one of the altcoins that basically just pump and dump. So, when you look at it as the car sort of analogy, you can put it in perspective as to what it is. And, everyone likes something different. So there's no point in arguing about it. We all drive on the same road. So just get over it and move on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for me, as I say, I'm really playing much more of a fundamental an investment game now. I've identified a few projects that I really think have got some legs. Whether or not they're going to have enough liquidity for me to actually go and trade those is questionable. Whether I would actually want to even trade them is the other thing. BTC and obviously Ethereum, there's plenty of liquidity there. That's that's obviously why you're in there trading those. I know you cop a lot of flack from various segments of why you're talking about BTC. Look, things have to have liquidity to get in there and trade them, don't they? So
they do, and it's like BSV doesn't move a great deal. It doesn't have the volatility that a lot of the other coins and tokens have. I do trade it, and I'm quite successful at trading it, but it moves in a completely different pattern to what everything else does. And if you're a new trader and you're coming in and you're trying to trade BSV, you're going to have a really difficult time. So you kind of need to know what you're doing. And but if you want to make money, I live off trading, that pays my bills. It enables me to live in this house, and I need to make money. So that's why I trade BTC and I trade Ethereum and I trade alts. So
yeah, so I'll put the links where people can follow you. I mean, obviously, as I say, this will be a weekly show where we're trying to sort of give the audience a high level view. If you really want to get in deep, follow Lisa. I've been looking at your trades for quite a while now and getting to know you as a person. I think you're clearly a fantastic trader. The proof's there for everyone to see. I mean,
Thank you.
You're really putting yourself out there constantly, and obviously, it is about people's finances. There's always going to be a lot of passion involved, and you've got a thick skin. I applaud that. You get it from all directions sometimes, and you march on. Good on you. It's also such an exciting space to be in, isn't it?
It's such an adrenaline rush some days when, and I know with trading, you've got to sort of stay away from that, but you can't hide that excitement when, it's going the direction that you want it to go, and, it's doing what you want it to do. And the whole crypto space sort of, and Twitter erupts. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any update of you? Obviously, I'm very familiar with what you're doing. I wouldn't actually call it outside of crypto because it's it's a movie all about this industry. I've read the script. It's awesome.
It's only getting better. It's really, really getting streamlined now, and the flow and the pace and everything is like really amazing. So I've got some amazing people that are helping me, and I can't wait until this movie comes to the screens, and it's like you know, I know I'm going to get flack from some people, but that's okay. It's like not everyone's going to like it, but that's okay. It's like
look, if you don't get flack from people when you're putting yourself out there publicly in anything, then you're clearly doing something wrong.
exactly. It's like if I don't have haters, I'm clearly doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a bit of a hard fork, so to speak, with my channel. I'm going to start making a bit more content that's not just crypto. So one of the shows, and I'd love to have you on it. We're going to get a few of my friends in the media space who are film producers, etc. Obviously, with us all being cooped up for what seems an eternity now, I've come to the firm realization that there's not a lot of great content out there. I think I've watched everything on Netflix.
I think we're running out of it on Netflix, aren't we?
Oh, I'm running out of it on YouTube. I can't think of
Yeah.
anything. It's tough to find something interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how that space and many different spaces are going to evolve in this new world that we clearly have now.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have you on that show. We'll look to do that next week and learn a bit more about your film and that
Sounds
chat
good.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So now, look, thanks so much. I mean, we're come and join us on Mondays, people. Well, I think one thing I'd like to do is send us your questions. If there's things you want us to cover at more of a higher level about trading, if you're thinking of starting to play that game, send us your questions. We'll cover those in this show, and then obviously you can get a bit more in depth. Follow Lisa on the daily. Those links are below this video, and learn as much as you can. There's a lot of money to be made if you do this correctly. This isn't obviously financial advice. You've got to go out there and do a lot of homework, find out who the key people to follow in the space are. And for me, Lisa's definitely one of those people. And it's great to have you here on Mondays, Lisa.
It's great to be here on Mondays.
Up and ready for these chats every Monday.
Yeah, sounds good.
Fantastic. Okay. Anything else in closing for today that you'd like to?
No, just if you've got any questions, hit me up on Twitter. I try to reply to everyone, and I try to give you as much information to go and learn as you can. So, and if you've got some questions about how I trade, or where sort of how much percentage my stop losses are and that sort of thing, I'm never going to tell you exactly where my stop loss is, because whales always like to take them out. But yeah, so if you've got some questions about anything that I'm doing trading, please hit me up on Twitter.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. The next show, as I mentioned, is with a man widely regarded as a founding father of blockchain. He's got some extremely interesting thoughts on both Bitcoin and where the whole blockchain space is heading. So subscribe to the channel. That show should be up either tomorrow at Wednesday at the latest. So look forward to seeing you back here next Monday, Lisa. And thank you for everyone for joining us today. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.